Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside Storm in the East, Operation Barbarossa from White Dog Games. This is a design by Steve Pohl, and it is one of the games I received in a bulk order from White Dog recently. We'll be taking a look at the other games over the coming weeks, but first off, let's take a look at this one. And on the back of the box, it goes through. I'm not going to read it all because it's fairly small and pretty detailed on Operation Barbarossa, which everyone knows already. It is the German invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941. And here is a look at the map and the counters that you're going to get in the game, along with the cards. There is no other information on the back of the box as far as like player count, time, things like that. So we'll just jump right inside and show you what's in the box. We got our map, which is really good looking map. We'll come back to that in a couple minutes. We've got our cards here, 1d6, and we've got our game manual, extended example of play. This looks like it says it is. These are examples of play, I should say. Then you have your player reference card, and it is single-sided. And then you have your two counter sheets, one full, one half. So like about 250 or so counters that you're going to have. You have your admin counters here that will show, looks like control and then attacker, defender, Axis force and Soviet force, as well as Soviet depot, resource points, and then turn counter and bridge destroyed markers. Then here are your German and your Soviet unit counters. You've got tanks and infantry, depots, anti-tank guns or artillery probably is what that is, and the same for the Soviets. You got infantry, tanks, cavalry, and artillery. So those are your counters, and they are double-sided, so they're two-step units at least, if not more, but I would assume that they're all going to be two-step units. These are single-sided counters here, but this map, see if I can get it all on the screen for you. It is a big map, and I probably should have flattened it out before trying to show this here on the screen, but we'll get a look at this map if I can get it open without tearing it. But this is the map here, and it needs to be flattened out, so I'm going to probably need to lay it out and then put a couple books on top of it. But really nice map. I mean, beautiful artwork on this map. Everything is pretty easy to see and delineate the different types of terrain here. And let's flip it over here so you can see what these are. These are your resource points tracker, turn track, and air resource points. It looks like on this map, at least my copy, it looks like the printing didn't go 100% because it's got some speckling here, unless that is part of the art treatment that they're going with, but not that big a deal. Here's the terrain. You have clear, city, fortified hex, forests, rough, marsh, riverside hex, and bridge hex. And then underneath it, it has the cost to enter for each of the units that go through, and then the intervening hexes for supply. And impassable terrain has sea, lake, mountain, and wetlands. And then the Victory City is the big one here in Moscow, and also Stalino down here. So, and then Leningrad up top. So those are your three victory cities in this game, here, here, and here, that are listed out on this map. And then we have our cards, which we'll come back to if we look through the rules and see if they give an explanation here. But it's a 12-page rule book, starts off on page 1, and it goes all the way to page 13, or I should say page 11. It's case 13 with reinforcements. Special rules start on page 11, and then you have the credits on page 12. So not a terribly deep rule book to get into. Looks actually pretty straightforward. There are the different types of units: armor, artillery, infantry, cavalry, and command units. These are commander counters, the Soviet Star and the German Iron Cross, as well as the Finnish flag here. And then you have explanation of the game map, deployment of units, and rounding for any type of figuring in the game. Everything is rounded down. how to win the game, and then your random events cards. There are 2 decks of these cards, 20 random event cards, one for turns 1 through 7, and then the other for turns 8 through 14. So it's broken down, 2 decks are broken down into 2 different time periods for turns 1 through 7 and 8 through 14. And then it explains how those are handled and determine resource points and depot actions, cost of depots, removing depots. Then you have to check your supply status, and movement, combat calculations, how your hits are applied, and the different combat outcomes. And there are some examples of play. All these are text examples of play in the yellow callouts. And then you have armor exploitation, restoration of units, air power, reinforcements, and then this is where you get into the special rules. And it looks like special rules are pretty straightforward. You have 1, 2, 3, about 4 special rules there if you want to add those into your game. And then you have the extended examples of play sheet I mentioned earlier. This goes into, with illustrated examples, how different things work. And the text on this is fairly small, smaller than the rulebook is, but apparently this was done to save space to fit these, to fit it on just a quick fold out. You can see what I'm talking about here. The difference in the text is pretty considerable. So not that big a deal though. And then you have the reference card, which gives you the setup table, base resource points table, and reinforcement schedule. This is just regular thin cardstock, and you can just laminate it if you'd like to. Take a look at the couple of these cards. I want to see if these decks are not. No, they're probably not. But these, here's a example of the Soviets bombing Helsinki. And you have an event for the Germans and also for the Soviets. And that is, these don't all, oh they do, okay. One, they were set up different ways. I guess that's how they separated the different decks. But I'll know that better when I get into the game itself. But this is another one here. This is pretty simple, no graphics on that one. Dr. Leonov. There's another one with an image on it. And again, these are all pretty much the same as far as their layout is all very similar. So that is a look at the cards that you get in the deck. And that is everything you get inside Storm in the East, the Operation Barbarossa from White Dog Games. So if you've been looking at this one, this is what you can expect to get inside the game. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.